to lead this debate on a bill for an act to establish the Sickle Cell Disorder Research and Therapy Centers, while also craving your indulgence to highlight the background of the bill towards providing justification for the Senate to pass the bill into law. My distinguished colleagues, the bill seeks to establish the sickle cell centers in each of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and also make comprehensive provisions for the due administration of the centers. The structure of the bill. The bill is made up of 27 clauses bordering on the establishment of the sickle cell centers, the board of management, functions of the centers, composition of staff, powers of the board of management, financial provisions of the centers, and general or miscellaneous provisions of the centers. Objectives of the bill. The objectives of the bill are to, 1, provide a legal and institutional framework for the establishment of 6 sickle cell disorder and therapy centers, with 1 in each geopolitical zones in Nigeria, and to provide for the due management and administration of the sickle cell centers. 2, provide facilities for diagnosis, curative, rehabilitative services for sickle cell disorder, as also improve access to specialized sickle cell disorder care, improve data collection and research, support education and assistance for patients, families, providers, and communities affected by sickle cell disorders. Justification for the bill, Mr. President. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, sickle cell disorder is the most common inherited disorder in tropical Africa, with over 650 children dying per day, and majority of the children with the most severe form of the disorder dying before the age of 5. Poignantly, Nigeria is regarded as the global epicenter of the sickle cell disorder, contributing about half of the estimated 300,000 newborns with sickle cell disorder annually. My distinguished colleagues, it is worthy of note that these dismal statistics are in sharp contrast to outcomes in high-income countries, where more than 90% of sickle cell disorder patients reach adulthood. Also worthy of note, Mr. President, is that the last few decades have witnessed remarkable scientific progress in the understanding of the complex nature of the disorder, as improved clinical insights have heralded development and establishment of disease-modifying interventions. My highly respected colleagues, despite these global tremendous scientific strides made in the study and treatment of sickle cell disorder, current evidence suggests that Nigeria still records a very high rate of sickle cell disorder complications and mortality rate amongst patients. This is because Nigeria lags behind in the implementation of diagnostic treatment plans that have worked in the developed countries, hence the continued high sickle cell disorder morbidity and mortality rates. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, it is my humble submission that establishing the Sickle Cell Disorder Research and Therapy Center, as proposed in this bill, would provide apt care to patients of sickle cell disorder, and by locating 1 center in each geopolitical zone, increase the reach and spread of such care to Nigerians. In conclusion, accordingly, and in accordance with Order 76, subsection 3 of the Senate Standing Rules as amended, I have attached herewith details of the financial implications of the bill for general information of distinguished senators. With every sense of humility, my distinguished colleagues, I urge you all to unreservedly support this bill for second reading. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator Osita.
My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, the panacea to stop the avalanche of sickle cell disorder in the country is for the relevant authorities to embark upon sensitization of the general public to undergo test before marriage, so that the blood group of the two parents will match. I don't know the scientific terms, but I know it's either O or something like that. I know this.
Chief, you're talking about prevention now. Talking about the cure. Is the cure? The cure.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we are talking about the cure. Now, I am now suggesting that there should be mass sensitization and information given out by the relevant authorities to Nigerians so that their genotype will match before marriage. Because one of the causes of the sickle cell disease is mismatch of the blood group between the two parents. So once there is sensitization, and then this test is being done, where the blood did not correspond, then I think the marriage should be aborted instead of bringing untold hardship to the parents.
Thank you. Is adding a new dimension to the bill. Maybe by the time we go further, there will be an amendment.
Mr. President, sickle cell disorder is a disorder mostly that people get without no fault of theirs. Mr. President, there is no gainsaying. This is completely necessary. That a disorder that people get, being a sickle cell patient, comes from a genetic transmission that these children do not know. It's unlike HIV, where they said when you use condom, you can prevent HIV. But people become sickle cell patients because of maybe ignorance of their parents, especially people from the rural communities who are not enlightened, who are not opportune to understand the genetic matching. And sometimes you can imagine how many deaths we record daily out of sickle cell. And I don't think we have paid attention to this enough. So this bill is completely timely. It will have come before now, but no time is late for us to have centers where we can provide therapy for sickle cell patients.
You have 1 second remaining. 1 second remaining.
I have experience where a friend of mine who has 3 sickle cell patients, I know what these parents go through. Probably out of carelessness of parents, the children are suffering that. But if we have centers where succor can be provided, it is going to go a long way in providing therapy and saving lives of people who have issues that is not a fault of theirs. So I second this motion, this bill.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
hope
you,
everybody will support it so it can be
Thank
read
you, Chief Whip.
for
You
the
have the
second
floor.
time. Thank you.
You have 2 minutes, then we pass down to
I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to thank Senator Katung for this bill, particularly the objectives of the bill. The 6 sickle cell disorder and therapy centers, with 1 in each of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. Sickle cell anemia is a very heavy burden on families. Most children die in their early stages, sometimes 14, 10 years. But the important thing here is that we need to combine palliative measures with educational enlightenment of parents. Before marriages, couples should be encouraged to go and get their genotype tested and established. There are genotypes that will combine and produce sickle cell. AS and AS, the likelihood of SS
coming will be there. So we need to enlighten people when they go for these checks.
And you have 2 seconds remaining.
They will be able to select their partners, and this scourge, which is heavy on families, will be contained and minimized.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Peter Gia. Half a minute, sorry.
Or you're not. Mr. President, this bill is very, very timely. When you look at the percentage it's quoting here, it's very, very, very high. And then the cure is becoming enormous for the parents. There are some families, they even have more than 1, 2, 3. And then if you see the expenses involved by hospital, particularly private hospital, in charging them, there's no way they can match it. That is one of the reasons why I agree with the Chief Whip that let's do the prevention, even along with the cure. Because most people don't even know their genotype. Even here, when you do sample, people don't even know their genotype. You see AS marrying SS. It's risky. Or SS and SS. It's risky. So prevention is far, far better than cure. It's always better than, you can even be an SS and marry AA. They will tell you, but most people don't even have the enlightenment and the education to even know what whom to marry. Having said this, even the cure, some people, because of the societal thinking, they are not even ready to take the children to the hospital. You now see them, just like somebody said now that he is Babalawo. How can you be taking a sickle cell to Babalawo? So with this thing, I think we need...
Okay, he has withdrawn that Babalawo issue. You have withdrawn it, right?
Mr. President, thank you very much for protecting me. And I think we need it for each geopolitical zone. Particularly, it should be set up in a rural area where people will really need it, enlighten them and curing those who have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Senator Ningi, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Ningi, representing Bauchi Central, Bauchi State.
Distinguished colleagues, Venus Yaro, Adamawa South. You need to know a patient that is suffering from this disorder to know, to appreciate the seriousness of the situation. This bill is apt, it should be supported and passed, as the Chief Whip always says, with the speed of light. I so submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much
a lot about this disease, but the only thing I want to add is, yes, this is one of the worst diseases as a doctor that I would want to see in a hospital because, one, the pain is very excruciating. The patients are always young people, small children. But most importantly, I want to tell us that this disease is the most racist disease in that it affects only the black people. And not only the black people, you only find it in West Africa. Wherever you see it, even in the US or wherever, that person, his descendants must have descended from West Africa. Now, the reason why we cannot get a breakthrough on this disease is because the big pharma do not have any incentive whatsoever to invest money in research, in development of drugs and palliatives for these patients. Therefore, what I am supporting 100% this bill, and I'm commending Senator Katum, what we are doing today, we are doing it on behalf of the black race, and we are doing it on behalf of West Africans. Because we are the only people that will finance this thing, finance research. And as I said, this disease, the good thing about it is 100% preventable. So we should also advocate for prevention. And I think if we can do that, we will do a lot to the black race and to West Africans. Thank you.
I thought that now...
But we should also emphasize so much on prevention, because prevention will actually do the magic. In some climes, before you get married, you are required to have your genotype. And then you are advised, assuming AS is proposing to marry AS, you are advised at that point of the dangers that you'll be getting yourself into if you proceed with the marriage. And if you insist, then you are asked to see a therapist who will further take you on the dangers. So I will propose that, yes, it's something that's already with us, but we should have a way.
Thank you. Your time is off.
It's not legislating love, but it's at least bringing the information close to the people as to dangers that they are walking themselves into. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Kaila Sumaila Dahua, doctor. He's a medical doctor. He's a consultant for that matter. So let's
produces drugs for sickle cell in Nigeria, which was set up in the Obasanjo years as president. Unfortunately, the company has gone into cobas and is not producing. But while it produced, the product, which was called Nicosan, assisted patients so much that they could live on it without crisis for their lives, throughout their lives. But unfortunately, it's gone down. And I think as this bill will go to the committee, we should look at this aspect. Producing, setting up centers without enough drugs for these centers to apply to those who suffer from these drugs, as good as it is not enough. And as the bill goes to the committee, I think cognizance should be taken of this fact that we have what it takes to produce drugs for sickle cell carriers in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Representing the good people of Plateau South. Mr. President, I also stand to support this bill. One, for me and Khartoum, I've always seen him as not very good man, but today for this bill, I'm standing with him. Mr. President, the emphasis is on cure. It's already a disease that is with us, whether we like it or not. Somebody said avoidance is also supposed to be part of the reason. But I say no. You cannot legislate on love. I have a personal experience, like the kid said. You can't legislate love. When it comes to the issue of love, somebody will say this is AIDS, this is AIDS. You will say no, let's go into it. God will help us. At the end of the day, God may help them, but it may not help their children. So this emphasis on the cure, and that cure also supported by some financial benefits that will assist the poor, because it's usually the poor. If you have money, you can tolerate that. But you don't have money, it is difficult to even tolerate. So I support this bill, and I think
Thank you, Senator Nelda. And then, of course, look, we have a medical director here.
I have
okay, you can go ahead, no problem.
Thank
go
you,
ahead,
sir.
go ahead.
President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, I am Senator Dickett Plan. I represent Plateau Central. President of the Senate, I rise again to also commend Senator Sunday Marshall for this wonderful bill. Sir, this genetic disease is very unfortunate, and it affects someone who knows not, but very innocent in it. I remember when we were in schools, it's more prevalent at the early age of a patient that has it. The younger you are, the more often are the attacks. And it affects people at the period they're supposed to be stable to either study or to attend to their professional attainment. And therefore, any effort made towards availing more medical centers, availing access, and then equipping hospital for it is commendable, sir. If the more we have more facilities, it gives room to people to make a choice. I am one of those that had a friend that was about to marry, and they loved each other very well. But on the test, they were told that the marriage would not work because they are both AS and AS. And you could see how it can deny fundamental will of a person. So I wish that the more we have centers for this treatment, the better it is for us.
Remaining, 1 second.
Yes, sir. I therefore wish that this bill will be accelerated in terms of treatment for us to have this work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Natasha.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Essentially a black man disease. There are no white people who have sickle cell, scientifically speaking. And therefore, because Nigeria is the centerpiece of Africa, the largest country in Africa, you look at the statistics all across Africa, half of the patients are Nigerians. It is essentially because of our population. So this is a landmark legislation, and I would like to commend my very good friend Khartoum, our mayor here, for bringing in this particular legislation. It is a good thing to pursue cure, Mr. President. A lot of people talked about SS, APA, and DS. And yes, that is what the scientific community have been able to find out. But you see, this discovery is just about 20, 30 years ago. And African countries have existed for more than 5,000 years. And therefore, it is important, once you have the cure, then everybody will go and marry anybody that he likes. So it is important we get the cure in place. And why we have not gotten the cure, Mr. President, is because the developed countries do not have this random of this illness. Because it's essentially a black man disease. And I think we should pursue this thing with all attention it deserves.
Thank you. Senator Adebule, then.
Commend the initiator of this bill, Senator Khartoum. This is very important in the sense that this is a significant public health issue for us in Nigeria. It accounts for a large percentage of mortality, particularly in children in Nigeria. So setting up centers that will cater for the cure of the disease is something that is very germane, something that we require to protect our young ones from dying early. And so therefore, Mr. President, I support this
Thank you.
This bill.
Thank you. Time is off. Thank you. Senator Dike.
Representing the courageous people of Kogi Central. I would like to appreciate Senator Sunday Marshall Khartoum for sponsoring this very critical bill on the establishment of the Sickle Cell Disorder Research and Therapy Centers in these 6 geopolitical zones. My only contribution here is that rather than establishing them as isolated centers, they should be made appendages to the university teaching hospitals in these 6 geopolitical zones. This is mainly to strengthen and broaden and also deepen the research and the therapies, considering the fact that there have been some innovative treatments worldwide, especially with regards to utilization of stem cell therapies in treating patients. So to simplify the establishment process and to curb the excess financial entanglements, it will be critical that these centers are established in hospitals, particularly university teaching hospitals in these 6 geopolitical zones. Thank you so much.
Senator Sachin, those in favor that this bill be read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators,
cell disorder research and therapy centers to expand access to specialized sickle cell disorder care, improve data collection and research, support education and assistance for patients, families, providers, and communities affected by sickle cell disorder, to provide legal framework for the due management and administration of the centers and for latest matters 2025, second reading taken. This bill is referred to the Committee on Health, Secondary and Tertiary to report back within 4 weeks. I commend Senator Marshall for bringing forward this bill. It's something that will try to find succor for those who are suffering for this unfortunate ailment, which they inherited from their parents. And as the bill moves further, we should try to, encompass the idea of prevention so that we will not have more of those who be suffering from this disease in the future. And we should find every way possible to get succor for those who are having this ailment. For those who contributed, we thank you very much for your wonderful contributions. The clerk of the leader of the Senate.